Books are an amazing resource for knowledge, a catalogue of humanity's collective information. Its enormity is its greatest attribute, but also its most intimidating quality. So where do you start? Do you go back to where records began? Do you just pick up the newest releases? There's an unfathomable amount of books on every topic. Some are masterpieces, some not so much. In this series of videos, I'm going to go through various topics, recommending some of the best books in their fields, so you can enjoy the best of the world of literature straight away. In this episode I'm going to be talking about history, possibly the richest of all the academic areas as it spans, well, all of history. In this list I've tried to include a mixture of different times, cultures and ideas. There's really no limit to the lessons history can teach, and hopefully this video can act as a good starting point, or as a good addition to already existing knowledge. I'll be starting this list with DURANT, who also featured in the philosophy version of this video, and he's one of my favourite authors. In the Lessons of History, DURANT compiles 10 lessons he has found from a life of historical study, giving us an efficient source of knowledge from his decades of work. One of the most interesting points in history, I think, is Genghis Khan. Khan was one of the most influential leaders in our history, leading one of the greatest forces. Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World by Jack Weatherford highlights Khan's rule and its knock-on effect on civilization. It's very interesting to see how something so far away can have such an effect on current life, which can very much be said about the Roman Empire. The decline and fall of the Roman Empire is a narration of the Roman Empire's downfall, one of the greatest empires in human history. Edward Gibbon brilliantly tells a tale of how one of history's most powerful forces came to an end. Their uprising is very well known, but few know the equally interesting story of their decline. Next up is Gangs of New York, and it highlights one of my favourite areas of history, gang culture. There's something about movie characters like Al Capone and the Corleones that spark a lot of interest from me, and Gangs of New York documents this as it happened back in the early 20th century. Herbert ASBURY takes you back to these exciting times of crime and violence to see how many people lived almost 100 years ago in New York. The 14th century holds some of history's darkest stories, but also some of its most glorious, and Barbara Tuchman's book A Distant Mirror tells the tale of both, and how they contrast each other. The book describes this century with fantastic language, making your transition into such a faraway time an easy one. Next is another book by Barbara Tuchman, this time documenting the events leading up to World War I. Similarly to the decline of Rome, World War I is a very well known event, but not nearly as many people know of how it started, and this book is a fantastic introduction to the topic and offers a solid understanding of World War I's beginnings. And next is The 6 Wives of Henry VIII, and it tells the story of one of history's most fascinating rulers, exploring the stories of his equally fascinating wives. It's such an interesting read and one you can hop into without any prior knowledge at all. Certainly one of the more bizarre stories on this list. The next one is possibly the most challenging due to its sheer scale, but if there's ever a definitive documentation of our history, it would be this. Spanning 11 massive volumes, The Story of Civilization by DURANT is an epic narrative on human growth and civilization. It took 40 years to write and covers everything from the Greeks to Napoleon, without a doubt one of the best pieces of writing in its field. Now, from something so epic to something so tranquil, Venice over the years has become one of the most fascinating locations in Europe for me. The unique nature of its architecture and lifestyle makes it such an interesting place, and A History of Venice by NORWICH encapsulates that wonderfully, giving a beautiful rendition of how the city viewed the events of its time, and from one of the most interesting places to one of the most interesting individuals. Napoleon, A Life by Andrew Roberts documents exactly that, the life of Napoleon, one of history's greatest rulers and highest achievers. Just the way Napoleon lived his life and commanded his men is incredible, definitely an interesting read. So I hope you now have a new set of books to help your journey through history. It's one of the greatest subjects and I hope I've offered a varied selection. Remember, if you are interested in reading some of the books, please do use my affiliate links to Amazon in the description. I'll have all the books mentioned in this video there. And if you have enjoyed this video, please do consider watching more of this channel or clicking the like button. I have similar list videos covering different subjects like philosophy and business. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you found this video interesting.